Who is on your Mount Rushmore of country music? This is a great question. Great question. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and throw Dolly Parton
Got to.
on that list, and I think anyone that doesn't have her on that list is tripping.
I would agree with that.
Garth Brooks and George Strait. I'm gonna go ahead and put them both on there because I don't want the smoke. I don't want the smoke. Yeah. George is a legend and a half, and I just don't think you have the modern country industry without both of those guys.
You good? Dolly, Garth, the King.
When you say Mount Rushmore, we're talking all time. I'm gonna go with the curveball, and I'm throwing Glenn Campbell on my list for number 4. I mean, everybody would probably recognize, Southern Nights. I'm going to go ahead and put Glenn Campbell on that list as one of the OGs. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's BRELAND here, and you are listening to Like a Farmer.
Hey, y'all, it's Pat. Welcome to another episode of Like a Farmer. Every single Wednesday, why don't you type in youtube.com, go to Like a Farmer, see who's on the show this week. Let me tell you something about this week's show. BRELAND joins the show, and we are talking about Disney, Georgetown, maybe little Jimmy Buckets, music, of course, and everything in between. As always, every single Wednesday, check us out. BRELAND, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
I know it's came straight from the airport, which it's funny that you mentioned that. I'm glad that you did. Mm-hmm. So the Disney stuff, which is coming out on, what's the name of it?
It's called Main Street Country.
Main Street Country, okay. How cool is it, because you're sitting first row of like this type of lifestyle, and this is why we started Like a Farmer, right? It's like the fact that, hey, I'm sitting here, I'm not saying that I'm a farmer. I came from that lifestyle.
Sure.
My mom's a farmer, my brother's a farmer. Yeah. But I want to be like a farmer. Like, I want to be country. I mean, it's gotten cool again, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Whether you could say Taylor Sheridan's done a big help with that, obviously, but you got Disney getting into that country. Why is that from your eyes, or people wanting to do that? Yeah,
I mean, honestly, I think like technology and society moves so fast that it's moving faster than we are. And I do think there's something to be said about like certain just innately human desires to like be out on land or be out near a beach or, connect with nature, connect with your community, be able to build real relationships that I think a lot of things that are happening right now are pushing people, so far away from that the country music world and lifestyle, and in the country lifestyle in general, feels like very peaceful. It feels real in a world full of fake. It feels like, there's a lot of, family and friends and community in a world where people are increasingly isolated and disassociated. So I think that's a part of it. And then I think on the other side of it, it's also just become popular. Exactly. But I also think like from a music perspective, which is probably the side of it that I can speak to it better than anything else, because I'm not a farmer either. I am from a farm town, but not a farmer myself. I'm from a town called Burlington, New Jersey. My parents live in Mount Holly. And I mean, my neighborhood growing up in Burlington was surrounded by big cornfields, and then our town had a lot of like dairy farms. And then my parents live on the side of a big sod farm right now, but they're not farmers either. Yeah. But I would say from a music perspective, man, we use all this technology that really makes the music not even feel real, because a lot of times it isn't, right? And especially now, this year especially, man, people go in a studio and you could literally just type something in. I mean, I'm not hating on AI across the board. Like, I do think that there are use cases for it. And I even think in music and music production, it can be a useful tool, but it can't be the only tool, right? Like, if you take the tool away, you should still be able to accomplish what it is that you're setting out to accomplish. Yep. If you can't do what you're trying to do without the AI, you probably shouldn't be making music.
You can say the same thing about social media too.
Yeah,
like these tools that people are using.
Sure. And so with the music and people using AI, it's like you could literally get in a studio and type something into a computer and it will spit you back a song. Now, whether that song is any good or not is up to the, ear of the beholder, but you can do it. And I feel like country music at its core kind of rejects a lot of that because it's about the humanity, right? It's about the things that, telling stories and the things that make us unique, and also the things that make us connected, all the things that are, universal experiences about life and love and loss and heartbreak and hope. Those are the types of stories that get told in country music that it's hard to it's kind of hard to do or replicate if you don't have real people making it.
That was such a great answer right there. So you're not big on like these full blown out AI songs where it's like it's an AI person singing it too.
It's one of the few things that really grinds my gears and gets me fired up. Like it really it drives me up a wall because there are people on the internet who will, publish something as if it's a real person. People are listening to it thinking it's a real person. The numbers go up. You see all the streams end up in the millions and they end up getting playlisted on different playlists and end up on Billboard charts. And
it's not even a human.
It's not even a human. And we don't have enough people in the industry that are like, hey, we should probably put some realistic guardrails around this. Not even saying that we should outlaw it, but just, hey, we should have some safety precautions in place so that if something is AI, people at least know that it's AI when they're listening to it. If you still want to go and enjoy it, by all means. But I know a lot of people who don't want to be, would rather consume art that's created by real people, and they don't know what they're getting themselves into. So they're not actually consenting to that. So I'm like, there has to be a way for people to at least know what they're listening to, and also a way to make sure that people who are making that music, like, guess what? All of that AI is trained on real music, or at least music that was created by real people.
Yeah.
So like somewhere in there, one way or another, there's a real case to be made for, intellectual property infringement and stuff like that, where it's like, hey, like this AI artist's voice sounds a lot like mine. His cadences sound a lot like mine. And it's really hard to prove what data they were trained on. So I'm not a fan of it. I think we need some guardrails. And instead, the record labels and a lot of people, the powers that be in the music industry are like, well, yeah, but we're going to invest quietly a couple $2 billion into it and just see what happens, And it's like, yo, what are we doing? Like you're literally feeding the machine that's going to kill us. And
spot on.
I think to answer your original question, I think why Disney and a bunch of other, companies and people in general are interested in country music is because it's real, and you can't really fake it.
It's authentic.
It's people getting in a room and creating something that didn't exist before. And maybe there's similarities. I mean, look, nothing's new under the sun, but I know when I go into a room and I come up with a good melody and a good concept and a good lyric and I execute it, that it is a one of one, and that no one else in the world has ever made anything exactly like it, and that no one's ever going to make anything exactly like it again without paying me first. And so I think
hell yeah, dude.
That's how I feel about it, and I think that's what's so beautiful. Everyone here in Nashville, for the most part, the people at the top of the game here, we all have very similar perspectives on this, and we talk about it all the time, and it's one thing to say, oh, let me just use AI to run this through, and see, okay, well, what would this sound like if we did it in a totally different style or whatever. But then if I do something like that and use AI for that, I'm still going to go and get actual session players to come in and do it. I'm not going to be like, okay, this is passable. This actually sounds like real people did it. Let's just throw it out there. It's like,
and I don't have to pay anybody.
There's got to be a better way to do it. So, I want to make sure that people like engineers and session players and background vocalists and touring musicians and songwriters and producers and artists can still get paid and can still have a job to come back to a couple years from now when this all really hits the fan. And the only way we can do that is by sticking together and doing our best to do things that we know AI can't do.
Hey, Derek, maybe next time that BRELAND comes on the show, you tell me not to mention AI. I think, hey, for those watching, BRELAND does not like AI to an extent.
But yeah, I think country music is all about, and the country lifestyle is all about the real.
Being authentic.
That is my short answer for you.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And there's some people that I can't talk to about this because some people in country music, they're just talented.
For sure.
And they have a great team, and then they're on going and play music and all that. You're in it, like, dude. I even feel like on the business side, like you're locked in on. We're gonna talk about Jimmy Butler and what you're doing with him right now or soon, but like, so on the business side, you seem very intuitive and very smart about like, okay, I get that I can go out there and perform and sing, but like the business side of country music. So, with that being said, this whole Ticketmaster thing, like, what is your opinion on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, for those of y'all who don't know what was going on, Ticketmaster and Live Nation, which are two of the most powerful entities in the music business, and they are the people that both book the shows and sell the tickets for pretty much any performance that you would want to go see. And they were allowed to do all of this predatory pricing and allow, non-humans to buy up a bunch of tickets and sell them at crazy prices and do all this stuff that, some messages were released from the heads of the companies, literally like, these people are so dumb, we can get away with anything. Like literally sounding like a supervillain from a movie. Yeah. I'm like, who talks like this? And why would you have this in a thread that could end up being evidence, but yeah, I mean, they've been trying to pull a fast one on people for a long time. And, personally, I'm like, look, it's hard enough as an artist to go out and tour, because tickets are expensive, and as the cost of everything, whether it's gas and food and rent and, whatever gets more expensive, when people choose to use their money for discretionary spending, like going to a concert or something that's going to fill them up in a different way, non-essentials. And I would say music is an essential to an extent, but it's like if you can't meet your rent at the end of the month and there's concert tickets going for $400, I mean, I would hope that you do pay your rent, you know? And I think most people are going to make that decision. So, in this world, especially, I know, it is a blessing for someone to choose to come out and see me. And when they're getting charged an arm and a leg, and as an artist, I'm not seeing any bit of that money either, and it's going to corporations that know that they can exploit the system because it's, companies that are working as what has now been established, as a monopoly. We have to break that up because it's hurting hardworking people who are trying to, use their money toward things like, that they need, and then they're trying to pay for a ticket. They end up spending 3 times as much as they should be spending, 4 times as much as they should be spending, or not even able to get the ticket at all for reasons that are just purely greed. Yeah. So, I think it hopefully will help. This ruling will hopefully help, keep the costs down a little bit, make these things a little bit more affordable, and also hopefully put some more money in the pockets of artists that are busting their backs to go out and try to put on a show, because it's hard to do that. It's expensive to do that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It came out like $1.80, $1.90 of what was said that they owed per ticket.
Right, but we're talking about millions and millions
and then
millions
you're talking
of tickets.
About that attorney.
Right.
That did the case is going to get his coupon.
Right.
He's going to get his percentage of that.
For sure.
So it'll be, and then it's like, okay, what are we talking about? But hopefully on a go forward basis, it just gets a lot better. When do you think grew up outside of Jersey? Is that correct?
I grew up in Jersey, outside of Philly.
Outside of Philly.
Because I think a lot of times people think of New Jersey as like New York. Like they think,
agree.
oh yeah, like because you'll fly into Newark, and the
Exactly.
Giants and the Jets play in
You're
New
the Big
Jersey,
Apple.
and they're the the New York Giants. So that I think a lot of times, and honestly, like New Jersey is the most densely populated state as far as the United States go, and the vast majority of the population in New Jersey
Mushes it
is
together.
mushed into
Yeah.
the metropolitan New York area, the northeastern part of the state. So I get why people think that.
Jersey
but,
outside of Philly.
yeah, but I'm from the southern part of New Jersey.
Okay, so who was your football team?
The Eagles, go Birds, baby. I know it's tough.
No, not tough at all. And the reason
People hate us. I know they do.
Cam Jurgen on the for sure, yeah. I got to finally meet. We were at the Masters party last week. Saquon,
Fire. Yeah. Why? I mean, he's huge.
I mean,
Why?
he's.
I know why.
He's that dude. Hey,
Yeah.
don't let him sleep on you. Little ping pong too.
He strikes
Saquon
me. He
will do
strikes
some-
me as someone that would be good at everything.
Yeah, he is.
Like, I feel like I wouldn't want to see him in like 20 different sports.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So at what point was music in your life, and then at what point you're like, all right, well, I'm gonna go all in on it?
Yeah, I mean, music was in my life from before I was born. I was born because of music. My parents met in the Howard Gospel Choir, so they're both singers. They sing a lot of gospel music and great musicians. I had them out with me at the Ryman for my Breland and Friends show. We sang a gospel song, and it was not a dry eye in the room, man. Everyone was on their feet, standing and well deserved. They're
Holy
very
cow,
they're very
yeah.
good. And so they met through music, and we all sang. So
It was bound to happen.
yeah, it was bound to happen. I mean, even my nephew now is 3.5, and he's on it. He's on it. He knows, like, we're a singing family, and this is what we do.
So what do you do at 3.5 to be on it though? Like,
I mean, if he's singing and he's a little off, we'll be like, hey, you're flat. Bring that note up.
is he
And he'll
good?
be like, he's good. I mean, I'd say he's exceptional for 3.5.
Do you have a video of him singing?
I have to somewhere.
Okay,
I'll find it.
because you have to
I'll
send that
find it.
to
I'll
me because
send
I
it
want
you.
to put
You
that in
it
that
up.
clip. Yeah.
He's singing for sure. I'll make sure my sister's cool with it. But
Yeah,
he's,
absolutely.
He's singing, and he loves when we sing. And he'll just sit at the keyboard all day and just mess around, and he'll play something even though it's like nonsense. He'll make us sing to it. Like
Yeah.
he wants to like accompany us. So
That
he's
is awesome.
Yeah, he's
And then-
musical.
So are you living in town now?
Yeah, I've been in Nashville 6 years.
And then, so at what point was it like, hey, I'm going to, and when you think about it, you're singing gospel music.
Yeah, growing up, yeah, absolutely.
And then, so at what point you're like, okay, Nashville seems to be the place for me. I'm going to go and lock
Yeah.
in and do music.
So I was making a lot of music. I mean, I was kind of a get in where I fit in kind of guy, honestly, like, for the majority of my career, even still. I started out making a lot of music in college, and
Georgetown.
yeah, I went to Georgetown, and there's not a whole lot of music that has come out of Georgetown, honestly. Like, it's not a music school. People go to Georgetown to become, Supreme Court justices and presidents, and, like foreign politics and stuff like that,
Yeah.
or
Great
like Wall
business
Street
school,
or whatever. Yeah, great business school. And I was in the business school at Georgetown, but I wasn't trying to do the like finance route. I was like, I want to do music, and music is a business.
It's business because
Yeah.
before you go on, I think you had the opportunity to go to was it NYU music school?
Yeah, Tisch, Clive Davis School, which is a great music school, and there's some great artists that have come out of it.
And then you go Georgetown Business School.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
music is a business, and it's more than
Absolutely.
just going up there and singing. We get it. You can do that.
For sure.
But what else do I need to capitalize and monetize in this business?
Yeah,
I
and
love that.
I just wanted to be able to think. I was like, look, man, I know I'm going to be able to make music.
Correct,
Because
yeah.
there's really no education that you could get that's going to guarantee success in the music industry. You could go to Berkeley, you could go to NYU, you could go to Juilliard, you could go to Belmont here in Nashville. And there's, a bunch of great music schools, and there obviously are probably more kids that end
Yeah.
up in the industry, but there's no guarantees, And so I'm like, I'd rather roll the dice on my talent and being able to develop that at my own pace. And when the time comes for some opportunities to come to the table business-wise, I want to be able to sit down in meetings and know what's being spoken about and be able to advocate for myself. And so that was kind of my approach, even at 17, when I was applying to school. So, I give my parents a lot of credit for, just kind of endowing me with the knowledge to be able to think critically about things and to be able to assess pros and cons in any situation. And that's something that they definitely have helped with. And it's useful. So I think for me in college, I was just like, man, how can I get my foot in the door of the music industry? Because you don't apply. This is one of the few jobs that you can have that doesn't have an application process or an interview or, like a clear path. You don't do it. There's no internship that gets you, it's about your ability to make great art and to make great relationships, literally it's that. So, I spent my whole time in college, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, especially. I was writing and recording a song a day. Then I started doing 2 songs a day. By the time I was a senior, I was doing 2 songs a day. And I was reaching out to multiple people in the music industry every single day. Whether anyone, man, it could be like, somebody's cousin, anyone who could find an email or an Instagram account or a Twitter or.
Was there anyone cool that like responded like one of the first few times?
Well, what I learned is like I messaged hundreds of people. Nobody responds, bro. Like, and honestly, like I get it because one, like, here's a kid with a few hundred followers and not a whole lot to show for it, sending a long message, like nobody's going to respond to that in general. But even then, a few of the people who responded were like, just send me something simple, like, keep going.
Yeah, keep it up, kid.
And then there were a couple producers in Atlanta who were like, well, yeah, I'll send you some tracks, and you should write to it, see what happens. And my grandparents and cousins, uncles, aunts, I have a ton of family in the Atlanta area. Honestly, like my immediate family is in Jersey, but like all of my living grandparents and all of my mom's siblings and their kids are all in Georgia. So we had been going down there a bunch for years. Yeah. And so, given that there's a pretty big music scene in Atlanta,
absolutely.
I was like, okay, cool. Well, after college, I'm just going to go down there. I know I've got, if everything goes super south, I'll always have a spot that I can crash, if I had to, family wise. And, it's a city that I was familiar with. So I was like, cool, I'll go to Atlanta. Kind of did the Atlanta grind for a while. I was working a job and, I've told this story before, but, literally I was working probably basically working 2 full-time jobs because I was like, I would work my corporate day job from 8:30 to 6 selling technology, business to business. I hated it. And then
the fact that you said the B2B.
Yeah, B2B, bro. It's like the worst kind, man. Like I was building lists and like cold calling people. But honestly, one thing I realized is like, there's so much rejection in the music industry and there's so much rejection in cold calls. So like, dude, all those years of me in college, like basically cold calling people, sending them messages. Yeah. Can you listen to my demo? Can you help me out? And not getting any responses. I was kind of built for it by the time, the job came around because I'm like, oh, hey, cool. You don't want to talk to me? That's cool. I'll try you again in 6 weeks, and I'll just put them as a maybe, It's
all about the pipeline, man.
Yeah,
the lead pipeline.
You got to build the pipeline. And they had me on a performance plan because I was so exhausted because I would go to work from 8:30 to 6, and then I would go to the studio from 6:30 until like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. And so I was like, because I figured, I'm like, I'm competing against people who do music full time. So for me to get my foot in the door, I have to be able to produce as much music as all of these people who are able to dedicate all of their time to it. And I don't have all day because I have to go to work. So I'm going to treat it like a full-time job. I'm going to put in at least 8 hours a day, and I'm going to do overtime, and I'm going to make sure I'm there on the weekends. And so I would get home at, 3:30, and I had to be up at 7:30 for work. And I did that for over a year, just grinding. And then finally I was like, at my job, I would be falling asleep at work. And I was also falling asleep in the studio. And I'm like, man, like something's got to give. And so I literally just decided I was going to quit my job. And I put in my 2 weeks, and I said, let me figure this out. I said, I hadn't made any money off of music yet.
Yeah.
And so my interim step was, let me see if I could get voice lessons, and I could do it on FaceTime too. And so I started.
Because what year was this?
It was 2018.
Gotcha.
And I was like, I'm gonna give voice lessons, for $50 for an hour, for a weekly lesson, and I'll shave some off if you pay for a month up front. And I said, if I get 12 students at $50 a piece, that's, $600 bucks.
Yeah.
And if I could do that on a week over week basis, I'll be able to cover my rent. I'll be able to cover my gas to and from the studio, and I'll be able to eat. So
I'm good.
I said that is like the number that I would need. And I was able to get the students. But then, students, they come and go. They're like, oh, I'm on vacation this week. I'm like, I need this money right now, you know? And so it wasn't anything really all that consistent. But I was grinding. And then, the music, I started to have artists that were cutting songs of mine. But it just wasn't, just wasn't paying, because songwriters don't usually get paid up front. Usually in the music industry, if an artist wants to put out a song that was written and produced by other people, their label, or if they're independent, either way, they're usually going to pay the producer for all the work that the producers do. And I'm definitely not suggesting that producers shouldn't get paid, but I do believe that songwriters should get paid. I think songwriters should get paid up front, because even the engineer gets paid, right? And if an engineer who's recording an artist on a song is going to get paid for,
no matter how it does.
Yeah, even now, if it doesn't come out.
Does the engineer get what I will call a bonus if that song?
No, but some engineers will get royalties on a song after the fact,
So they're kind of double dipping, where a songwriter only is getting compensated if it goes out. And
honestly, not every engineer is getting that.
Yeah.
Some engineers get that and some engineers don't.
Yeah.
I personally believe that all engineers should get publishing, and I believe that songwriters should get an advance.
Well, why don't you start your own thing and you make that the norm?
Well, look, I find opportunities for songwriters to get paid all the time. That's my whole thing. I'm like, look, if there's opportunities for songwriters to get paid, if there's opportunities, even if I have to kind of like finesse the system to say that somebody who was a songwriter and may not have produced something, I'll say that they co-produced it because they may have helped with vocal production. That counts, and then the label has to pay them, because at the end of the day, like if a song comes out and does well, everyone does well and everyone's going to be happy about it. But the vast majority of songs that come out, and by this I mean literally like 99% or more of songs that come out, you're getting paid pennies. So you can't really live off of that. You can't really eat off of that. A producer is going to get an advance up front. They might get a couple $1,000s, that is at least something, to be able to live off of. But the songwriter isn't going to see anything. And if that song isn't a single, doesn't put up 100 million streams, get synced a ton in a bunch of different TV shows, movies, and commercials, or go to radio, they're literally not going to get paid.
Yeah.
And I know too many songwriters that are incredibly talented and put in a ton of work and don't see anything. And I know how that works because I was that songwriter. I had a bunch of songs, dude. Over the course of 2019, I had over a dozen major label releases, and I probably made $100. You know what I mean? I literally might have made $100, off of 12 songs that were released off of major label recording artists. And what was really like blowing my mind is that the producer that I was working under at the time, even despite not having his hands on the majority of this stuff, and some of these were relationships that I brought in, an artist that I was forming relationships with and bringing them to the table, these songs were coming out and he's charging 5,000, 7,500, sometimes 10,000, per track, so I'm like, yo, you made 6 figures, I made 3, and I'm doing more work than you, so I was like, yo, this system is broken.
Yeah.
And I realized that, Nashville, as a songwriter, I was always the guy in Atlanta that people are like, you write like a Nashville dude, you need to go to Nashville, and everyone was always saying that, even when I was working on R&B stuff, because a lot of R&B songs get written like, very kind of freestyle oriented. Somebody will play a track, somebody will go in the booth, get on the mic and literally just like hum some melodies and then be like, okay, cool, this is the catchiest melody that we have from this past. Somebody else will get in, lay their melodies down, just coming up with it off top. Literally, it might not be any lyrics in it, and they'll come up with melody. And it's actually an amazing process. I'm not here I'm not here to throw any shade on this process, but I do think that when you create that way, you end up with stuff that's really catchy and really like the vibe is there, but then you're not saying anything, because then you're just going to be like, okay, well, let's just try to make sure we just say whatever we need to say, because we know that it's catchy, so it's going to work.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, well, I feel like we could probably beat this bar, like there's probably something more that we could say here, and so I was always like trying to push for, I'm like, well, do these lines make sense, like in order, like what if we, like I was always trying to be like, I feel like we could make sure that the verse is telling some sort of a story, and they're like, come on, man, it's a vibe. You're killing the vibe, man. We're not trying to sit here and do lyrics. We're just,
come on, BRELAND.
Yeah, come on, man. You're killing the vibe. And I'm like, I'm not trying to kill the vibe. I just want to make sure this is as good as it can be.
When you hear like a track like that, can you, whether you want to call it freestyle or not, like, can you sit here and like at least?
Oh, I can usually tell how a song was written, for sure. If I'm listening to a song, I can usually tell how it was written.
But if I gave you like just a random beat, could you give a freestyle to that?
For sure. Yeah.
Can you do a little freestyle right now?
Yeah. I mean, if we had a beat or something, but like, usually it's not even like a lyrical freestyle like what you would think of in like 8 Mile. It's like a melodic freestyle, so it's like, if there's some chords playing, I'd be like, na 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 na. I'm like, okay, cool. Okay, let's put some words to it.
Yeah.
And that's me to imaginary chords to an imaginary, making something up just for the sake of an argument. But someone would listen to that melody and be like, okay, cool. I like that. Let's put some words to it. Okay, cool. Living like a farmer, here we sitting on the podcast, chilling on a Wednesday afternoon. I'd be like, okay, cool. I like that. That's great. And literally it could be that simple and it could be that quick if you have the right track and the right melody that gets, created, and then there's, people who will kind of add their input and add their sauce. Be like, okay, cool, let's use this little bit, and then somebody else did this little bit. Maybe that's the hook, and then you kind of piece it together like that. But there's not a whole lot of like lyricism that goes into it necessarily. It's kind of like you're just kind of creating something based on feeling. And honestly, creating something on feeling is not a bad thing. But I think great songs, whether they are in the R&B hip hop world or in the country world, do a good job of both, right? Like the reason that Stapleton is so great is because he's able to give you, or even say Morgan Wallen, right? Like Morgan Wallen is actually even a better example, where he's gonna give you, oh, I'm a little crazy, but the world's insane, right? And he's going to tell a whole story to get you up to that punchline. And they're thinking about this in the songwriting room the whole time. They're going to say, keep it loaded 45 right beside the bell. For all the creepers and ain't riding ahead. And they're going to literally get you up there, but the melodies are all infectious. And then you get to the chorus and it's a big melody. And so the song feels like what they're saying.
You're spot on.
Right? So like as a listener, you're like, oh, not only is this saying something that I can relate to or something that I can appreciate, but the melodies that are housing it are also incredibly effective, And so I think, on the flip side of that, you could look at a song in, say, the hip hop world, I would look at, anything by, say, J. Cole or, Kendrick or Eminem, even what have you, where lyrically they're going crazy, but the songs of theirs that do really well are also the ones that have these, really ear catchy hooks to them. So like they want to get, they're all lyricists for sure, and they all want to get as many bars. They want to get as many bars as they can, but they know that for people to be able to listen to it and digest it, and for the song to be as impactful as possible, you're going to have some sections where it's simple. You're going to have to, Drake does a really good job of that. He's super, super hooky, super melodic, and R&B and rock and Afrobeats and K-pop and all music operates kind of the same way, which is that when you have a great lyric and a great melody together, and it's produced well, and the person who's singing it sounds like you can believe them, it's going to work. And I think what some of the people in Atlanta were missing, and maybe what some people in Nashville maybe do a little too much on the opposite side, is like you actually do need both. And so I'm someone that really prides myself on trying to do both. And I'm naturally a melodic guy, so I'm gonna come up with melodies really fast. But I'll come up with a great melody for something, and I'll sit for hours or days to make sure that the lyric is right. Perfect. And that's not to say that it has to be a super heady song. Yeah. But it has to be accomplishing what it's trying to accomplish. Even a song that's as silly, lyrically as My Truck, my debut single. But like I'm saying what I want to say on that song, and I'm like, okay, even in the verses, it's like, okay, cool, V8 engine with the windows tinted, where we came from the bottom, got it out the mud, like all of that, like I was like, let's make sure that this makes sense when you read it down, even if you take the melody away, and then let's make sure that if you take the lyrics away and listen to the melody, that both of those things check the box.
Yeah. Like when you scroll up on Spotify and you want to read the lyrics as you're singing, which I like doing.
For sure. It's gotta make sense. And so I think that's kind of where I sit, and honestly it's a big part of why I ended up in Nashville, is because I was like, I love the way that songs are written here, and I love the level of respect that people have for songwriters.
Yep, I would agree with that. Two things on that. I think maybe you should run for the mayor of Nashville.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I went to college, man. I've sent nudes. It's over for me. I'm cooked.
That laundry, man. I got dirty laundry.
I don't want to get into politics. Music is political enough, bro. Music industry is political enough. I'm going to leave the politics to the people who like to get dirty like that, man. I could make a bigger difference elsewhere.
Perfect. And then, Derek, we found our guy finally to do the Like a Farmer beat. Like, we need a Like a Farmer song when we...
There you go.
When we introduce the episode.
Say less.
Okay, perfect.
I
would love that. Hey, y'all, it's Pat, and I'm excited to welcome Ducks Unlimited to the Like a Farmer podcast. Your hunt starts with healthy wetlands and associated habitats. From the Alaskan wilderness to the Atlantic flyway, across America's Great Plains and down the Mississippi Delta, Ducks Unlimited has been protecting and restoring habitats for nearly 90 years. But their work is far from over. They need our help to reach the next million-acre milestone and ensure waterfowl for generations to come. DU volunteers and supporters have led the charge to fill the skies with waterfowl today, tomorrow, and forever. Why don't you come join the team that's making a real difference? Ducks Unlimited is powered by people like you. With your help, they can continue to raise funds that drive wetlands conservation across the whole continent. Whether you are out selling tickets, securing donations, or finding that next sponsor, they have a role for everyone. If you want to join today, visit www.ducks.org/volunteer. Ducks Unlimited, conservation for a continent.
Yeah.
Hey, we do a game on this show, okay?
I love games.
It's called Give 'em the Boot, presented by TECOVAS.
Okay.
I've got a brand new pair of TECOVAS for you.
Woo!
Now, to get them, these are actually my favorite kind, because believe it or not, I think those look good. And I'm actually a big fan of the zipper on the side because it sits a little bit tighter to the leg.
Yeah.
But these are my favorite right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and try it on right now.
There you go. There's 4 questions in there though.
Oh, so before I put it on, I should play the game.
Play the game, yeah.
Naturally.
So you can give one of them the boot if you'd like to. No, but that's no fun. You might as well answer all of them.
I'm going to answer these questions.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
What is the Biggest creative risk you have taken. Okay, honestly, I thought this said, what is the biggest creatine risk you have taken? Which I was like, yeah, I started getting into working out, but I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not doing steroids
How does
or
Pat
anything.
know
Yeah,
that?
right. Yeah, I was like, I'm not juicing. No, I'd say the biggest creative risk that I've taken, honestly, probably getting into country music in the first place was a pretty big creative risk for me, because I'm like, previous to that, I had just been writing songs for other people. I could have continued writing songs and lived a pretty low key life. And I feel like once you put yourself out there as an artist, like, people have the opportunity and the right to judge you.
You're exposing yourself.
Yeah, you expose yourself, you know? So I'm like, man, like, I was so nervous coming into country music, because I was like, I think as a songwriter and as a creative person, I belong here because I love the way these songs are written and I love writing songs like this. But, you know, I'm like, man, people are going to try to test my country. They're going to be like, you're not a farmer. You're not, you know, like, and you're from New Jersey, you know, and I didn't want people to take it that way. I wanted people to take away, hey, you know, at the end of the day, man, we got people in country music that, you know, Keith Urban's from Australia. Shania Twain is from Canada. You've got Zach Top is from Washington State. Tucker Wetmore as well. You know, it's like, yo, we don't have anybody holding it down really from Jersey. We had Clint Black back in the day. But, you know, there's no modern artists from...
Never even knew that.
Yeah, people don't even know Clint Black is from Jersey. So I'm like, yo, you know, I'm like, nobody's really holding it down and repping Jersey like that. So, but it was a risk. So I would say that's got to be the one. Let me see. Best backstage moment so far. So I had a kind of backstage and kind of just off camera.
Yep.
A couple years ago, I was doing the Today Show. You know, like early morning TV. And I was super nervous because it was like the day after CMA Fest. I had just played a ton of sets that weekend, was doing a lot. And before I went on, Bryan Cranston was doing a segment before me. And so we're sound checking, you know, a few minutes before I go on. It was my song Praise the Lord that I do with Thomas Rhett. And Bryan Cranston comes out and starts dancing, like doing my little two-step move, and you know, on camera but off camera, you know, during the commercial break. And I was like, what is going on? And I'm a big Breaking Bad fan too. Yeah, and I, you know,
who's not?
Malcolm in the Middle and all this. So I was like, yo, like what how is this happening right now? I feel like that was definitely like one of the coolest moments for sure.
It's a great one.
Yeah. Let me see. Who is on your Mount Rushmore of country music? This is a great question. Great question. Okay. Yeah, got to go with 4. I'm going to go ahead and throw Dolly Parton.
Got to.
On that list. And I think anyone that doesn't have her on that list is tripping.
I would agree with that.
I feel like you would have to put either one or both Garth Brooks and George Strait on there. I think a lot of people would put them both on there. I'm gonna go ahead and put them both on there because I don't want the smoke. Yeah. I don't want the smoke.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm gonna just put Garth on there because we're friends, but you know what? George is a legend and a half, and I just don't think you have the modern country industry without both of those guys.
Yeah. No, and I literally just told Derek too, like George Strait's manager, I was with him the other day and literally was like, hey, I didn't appreciate that. Jamie Johnson was in that seat a couple weeks ago, and Jamie didn't put George on the Mount Rushmore.
It's tough, man. It's tough. I'm going to go ahead and put them both on there.
Good. Dolly, Garth, the King.
Shout out to everybody who was putting up numbers throughout the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and the current decade. None of them have been in it long enough to be on my Mount Rushmore. Because I also feel like when you say Mount Rushmore, we're talking all time.
Yeah, correct.
And I do think that there are a couple current artists that are doing some unprecedented things. I think what Chris Stapleton is doing, what Morgan is doing, but even, some of these younger artists like Ella Langley right now is broken the record for, I would even be curious to somebody like a Shania Twain who had literally 3 diamond albums in a row. There's a bunch of people in the more modern era from this millennia who could be on that list. But I'm going to go with the curveball, and I'm throwing Glenn Campbell on my list for number 4. Glenn, no one's going to put Glenn Campbell on there, man. Glenn is a legend. He put out so many records. He was one of the first artists in country music. I mean, everybody would probably recognize, Southern Nights, or Wichita Lineman or some of the big hits. But, I feel like Glenn was one of those guys that really, at a pivotal time in country music, started incorporating all of these different elements from, Motown and soul, and really brought country music to an audience that wouldn't have heard it before. And that is so important for the genre to grow. And when you talk about certain people like an FGL or Shania Twain or Morgan Wallen, all in their own ways, they have been able to help country music, and partly by blending genres,
totally agree,
have been able to bring country music globally to audiences that otherwise wouldn't have discovered it and wouldn't have fallen in love with it. So I'm going to go ahead and put Glenn Campbell on that list as one of the OGs who kind of paved that path.
Like meshed some different genres.
Bringing a bunch of different sounds.
Like what Jimmy Buffett did, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
what Kenny Chesney did,
for
too.
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's a great point.
For sure. I would put him on that list for me.
I like that. That's a good one.
Is that 3? Oh, here's the last one. What do you want your impact on country music to be? Man, I see country music as this genre that can defy all borders. I feel like, I've done really well playing shows out in like the UK, and we've played some festivals in Australia and elsewhere in Europe. And I love travel, and maybe it's just because I came from Disney and I'm like, oh, it's a small world after all. But like, real talk, like, it's such a big world. And I feel like sometimes people in country music kind of gatekeep it a little bit because they want it to be like this thing that's just for like Southern Americans, and it's like, it can't just be for Southern Americans because there's the cat's out of the bag, bro. Like, we live in the internet age, man. Sure. And I know there are literally some country artists that have fan bases overseas that they don't want to go see because they don't like value those fans as much as they do their like Southern American audiences. And it's like, dude, point. Like, it's a big world, and I feel like this is some of the best music in the world. I think country music is perhaps the greatest export that America has. And when it comes to storytelling, just the realness, the rawness of the lyric, the story, even if you don't speak English, you could connect to this music. And I want people to see me as one of those people that gets it all the way out there. And I'm down to literally go to like India and like all these countries that have never had country concerts. Like, I want to be the one to do it.
Would you go to the moon?
I would go to the moon. I mean, like, there's no like people on the moon. So
no, but I'm saying, would
I go?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I don't want to just go to the moon if it's just gonna like cost taxpayers a bunch of money. Gotcha. But like, if there was something that I could do on the moon that would like offset that cost or like justify it, like, I'm not a scientist, so I don't think I would have a whole lot of value. But like, if the scientists who are going to do something really important on the moon are like, we need like music, we need like live music all the time, like, I would do it like out of service. But
gotcha. Just making sure.
This hypothetical is getting more and more insane by the second, but like, yes, there is a set of circumstances in which I would go to the moon. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Keep that in mind. For sure. That was good. Hey, boots are yours. Look at that.
There you go. I'm gonna go ahead and zip this down and try it on, man. 'Cause I pulled up here in some Nikes. I feel like I gotta come correct. Oh yeah. Oh, that's nice. That's a good fit.
Is it?
It's actually a better fit with my outfit.
I'm telling you.
Than
Look at that. I'm telling you.
Look at that.
Woo.
I feel like I should have been wearing this boot the whole show.
Yeah, you feel different,
I might have
don't
answered
you?
your questions a little differently if I had. That's nice. That's really nice.
So I gotta ask you.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite basketball players, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler.
Yes, sir.
We all know he loves country music. I've been living vicariously through your social media.
Sure.
Seems like you are working on something. It seems like when he's in the studio, you're in the studio. So it seems like you have some sort of association. So whatever you can talk about on that, can I just know? Because I freaking love the guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, Jimmy is one of my, he's one of my best friends. You know, like, it's crazy to say that because, you know, I could still remember a time, you know, and he's been in the league now, 15 years. Yeah. So, like, I could still remember a time where I was watching him. I mean, dude, he was on the Sixers, and I'm a Sixers fan. Like, I remember him, as someone who was not yet in the industry and didn't know athletes like that, and I'm like, Jimmy's great, But yeah, he reached out to me a few years ago. We kind of connected on socials, and he was a fan of my music and what I was doing in country, and he was like, look, I love music. I have a ton of friends who are in music, but the way that I create music is a little different because I'm an athlete and I don't really know how to put it all together, but I have ideas and I would really love to be able to put together a project that I can have my hands in, and bring together a bunch of different artists that I'm friends with and have great relationships with in a really one-of-a-kind project that wouldn't exist anywhere else. And I feel like you're the guy to help me figure it out. And dude, I was like, yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. I was like, dude, say less. Like, I'm in. He was shooting for Starting Five documentary on Netflix. It follows the basketball players around. And, I was there for that. And we had a little scene, making some music with a couple other guys from Nashville. Cool. And then at that point, the pressure was on because, there's millions of people saw that. And he's like, yo, people are asking for this music.
Yeah, it can't flop now.
Now we have to do it, and we have to do it well.
Yeah.
And so we've spent a lot of time over these last couple of years. I mean, dude, we've got a Dropbox folder with over 100 songs in it. Straight up. I mean, literally probably pushing closer to 200 at this point of just demos, of songs that I've either created with him or that he's done with other people. And, I think out of that, the idea is to put together a body of work that will have a bunch of different artists on it. So definitely a good amount of artists from country because Jimmy loves country music.
Yeah.
And he's got a bunch of friends, in country music, but also, he's got a ton of friends who are in the hip hop world and the Latin world and the Afrobeats world and the pop world that we could have somebody like Morgan Wallen and J Balvin on the same song, Is
that going to happen?
I hope so.
Okay.
But I'm using
not
that as
confirmed yet.
No, but I'm saying they're both friends with Jimmy, right? So that's something that is possible, and I think putting together this project, it's like we don't have to follow any typical industry rules because the only rule is that he wants to put out a project that feels really good and that all the songs are great. And so and that all the collaborations that are on it are both organic and unexpected. He doesn't want to do a project of songs that someone else in town would have been able to put together, So at the center of it, even though Jimmy's not necessarily going to be singing, though it is possible he could sing on something if he decides he wants to.
Yes.
But if he's not singing on this project, it's a labor of love for him as just someone who appreciates music and as someone who is really uniquely positioned, having a ton of different friends and relationships with people across a bunch of different genre aisles and is able to bring them in, on a, really special project. So it's been really cool to be a part of. The goal is to definitely get some music out sooner than later. And we've been working.
Any release date?
Not at liberty to say.
Gotcha.
But
soon.
Sooner than later.
Yeah, we'll see an announcement soon.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's music that is being teased literally this week. So
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah. And then so it's like the Jimmy Butler album.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, I want to say that he's like DJ Khaled, because I don't think he's going to be shouting Jimmy Butler, you know, for 3 on the beginning of the songs or anything like that. But it's more so just that, like, you know, it's a project that is involving a bunch of people that Jimmy loves, and Jimmy's got his hands in the process writing these songs.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Go for it.
Who would you want to see play in the Super Bowl? Like, if you got to choose.
Like, I mean, obviously, I would put the Eagles in there. Are you saying that the Eagles can't be a part of it?
Excuse me. Halftime show.
Understood. Yeah.
Well, we know we get it, the Eagles. Like, Jesus, we're tired of seeing them there, okay?
Know. That question was too open-ended. Artist-wise, I think we are due for a country artist. I think whoever that country artist is going to have to be pretty neutral politically. I think for everyone to get on board, because, you know, man, everyone's so hyped up right now. It's like, you know, do I think that Al Dean would play a great Super Bowl set? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a bunch of Americans that probably would be upset about him playing it, right? And then I think on the other side, you know, if you had someone, you know, on the complete other side of the spectrum, say like a Casey Musgraves or a Mara Morris, maybe is a better example, you know, I think she would also play a great halftime show, but I don't think that there's going to be a ton of Americans on the other side who are going to be happy about that. Like, truth is, people are going to be upset about whoever you pick.
That's true.
Because they're going to have their reasons for why they do or don't like that artist. I feel like if you were going to do it, it would have to be like Dolly Parton doing halftime and bringing out a bunch of artists that she likes, because no one's going to argue about Dolly and no one's going to argue about anyone that Dolly picks. Yeah. You know, I also think there's, you know, it could be someone like a Post Malone, it could be someone like a Luke, it could be someone like Lainey.
Luke
Combs,
because I could even say Luke Bryan too.
Yeah, I mean, and it would be super entertaining. Yeah. I think probably Luke Combs, but like, you know, I mean, you would theoretically want someone who's like truly at the top of the game as far as like someone who sells out stadiums and stuff like that, you know, because like when you look at how big Bad Bunny is, or how big Rihanna is, or how big, you know, like it has to be someone who holds that same amount of weight, because this is the biggest offering that we have, you know, as far as performances in
it's
America.
Gotta be an iconic name.
It has to be an iconic name. So you either go old school and you bring somebody like Dolly, or, you know, George Strait or an Alan Jackson or somebody.
The Eagles, are the Eagles still alive?
Yeah, the Eagles are still around.
All of them.
Not all of them.
Okay.
Because Vince Gill is a part of the Eagles now. He tours with the Eagles, and he's a country artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had Vince Gill at BRELAND and Friends last year. Yeah. Shout out to Vince. We've made some good music too. But like, it would have to be like either a legacy act or a current act that is like super clean, hasn't been in anything negative at all. Because like, you know, because I also feel like, dude, like Morgan Wallen or Zach Bryan would play amazing Super Bowl halftime shows, and they play stadiums every night. So like, it wouldn't be anything new for them. But I also know that there's going to be a bunch of people who bring up a bunch of things about them because there's been some controversy. So like, you have to find somebody who's pretty clean. If you're going to get a country artist, you would have to get somebody that everybody's like, okay, yeah, we all love them, even if we don't like country music.
Yeah, no, you're right. Or on the flip side, like just an iconic. Like, was it 2 or 3 years ago? Wasn't it 50 Cent walked out there?
Yeah, because it was Dr. Dre.
Yeah. Which, by the way, the In My Truck song.
Yeah.
Did you have to communicate with anybody?
Yeah, we had to get 50 Cent and Dr. Dre to give us permission to put that song out. Yeah.
How did that go?
Well, because we were able to get it done, man. Shout out to them, dude. They're legends, and you know, they don't really need any money at this point. You know, like they've done just about everything, including Super Bowl halftime. They've done literally just about everything that you can do in the music business,
and television as well.
Right, and in television, right? So They technically don't have any reason to say, yeah, you can put this song out and you can use our, creative license or anything. So I wasn't entirely sure that they were going to allow us to do that. But I'm glad that they did, that was a pretty big win. And especially for me, man, it had been a year and a half since I had put any music out, and we just wanted to come with something fun and like nostalgic. And that kind of got the ball rolling, and I've got a bunch more music coming. So
yes, nostalgic. You say that word. So, we have a segment on the show called "What's in the Cooler."
Okay.
Presented by Outlaw Light. There is a picture in here.
Okay.
Of you.
Oh, boy.
Now.
It could be anything.
It could be anything. So
okay.
You just grab that photo in there, and then just tell me, like, how it felt that day, what it meant to you.
This is a photo of, you guys will probably throw the photo up on the screen.
Yeah.
This is a picture of me singing at Gaston Hall for what looks to be DCAF, which is the DC Acapella Festival. I'm singing with my college acapella group, the Georgetown Phantoms. Man, these are some of my best friends in the world still. And I mean, look, man, like, as a college kid, like, again, man, I didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to get on stage and perform. We didn't have a whole lot of stuff going on. And I feel like that was my Super Bowl, like me as a 20-year-old kid, or this was my senior year, me as a 21-year-old kid, not sure where everything was going to go. For a lot of these people, this is their last time performing.
Exactly.
You think about it a lot, like, college athletics, and stuff like that. That's why March Madness and, college football championship and, college World Series and all of this, like, that's why it matters so much to these kids, because they're not going to go pro. The majority of them aren't going to go pro. So they're leaving it all out there, and they're playing in front of a, big room full of people that are there to watch them do what they love to do, and maybe for the last time. So I think for me at that age, and at that time, there were no guarantees, and there are never any guarantees, but there were definitely no guarantees that like music was going to work out for me, and that I would be able to play on crazy stages like Red Rocks or Madison Square Garden or the O2 in London or anything like that, or the Ryman or the Opry. Like there's no guarantee for any of that.
You've done all of those.
I have done all of those, and or am doing all of those very soon. And so it's like, for me at that age, like, that was everything.
Your Super Bowl.
I couldn't sleep the night before like, as crazy as that sounds, like, I couldn't sleep the night before decaf, because I'm like, man, I'm going to be singing in front of 2,000 people.
Yeah.
And it's like terrifying and then so exhilarating, and we would throw these crazy parties afterward because we were all so hyped, and like, it's a special moment, as a college kid, to have the opportunity to sing.
That's awesome.
Sing with your friends.
What you mentioned just now, like, what's coming down the pipeline, man? Like, what are you excited about?
Dude, I'm so pumped, man. I've got a bunch of music coming. Obviously, we got some of the Jimmy stuff that we talked about. I'm all over that. I got a couple really cool collabs. I've got a big country collab that I'm excited about. That's coming, I'll just say, in June.
You haven't announced it yet, though.
Haven't announced it yet, so y'all will be the first people to know that there's a good country collab coming. I've got an EDM song that's coming out that I think is going to be pretty big. It's a well-written song, and that's coming out in May. Has not been announced, but I'm telling you, May, June, July, and then there's a couple other songs in the mix there of songs that I've written. There's an artist that is one of my parents' favorite artists growing up, like truly like a legend, that got on a song with another legend that I'm good friends with, and co-wrote on that song, and that'll be coming out at some point this summer. So just honestly, it's such a good season for me, of like a lot of seeds planted in the last couple of years have like all started to kind of sprout around the same time. You know, not to get too like deep or like religious on everybody, but just like there are so many things that have happened in the last few months and in the last year, for me personally, that like I just know it's God doing it, including like songs that I wrote 5 or 6 or 7 years ago that are all coming out this year that I'm like, this doesn't happen, you know, like certain things where I just happen to be like in a coffee shop and I run into somebody and then that turns into, you know, like where I'm like, yo, like God is working overtime on my behalf. Amen. And I'm just doing everything that I can in my power to, you know, live up to that.
That's awesome, man. Seriously, I'm stoked to watch it. From even just being on this side of it, watching you do what you do. The Disney thing too. The Disney thing's cool.
I know, man. Disney, man. Shout out Disney, man. I'm you know, I grew up on all these. We all did.
Yeah. So these projects, even outside of just your own music, people are calling you. So like, I'm a fan of yours. This has been awesome just to get you on the show.
For sure, man.
I want to definitely come catch you on the show soon. But like these projects that you're doing, people are coming to you, and like that means something.
Absolutely, man. I mean, all we have in this business and in this world is our reputation, you know, like obviously the work that we do is part of it, but how we treat people and how we show up for people really matters. And you know, the fact that there's, you know, some really well-known, talented and great people in this business and in other industries around this business that, you know, respect me as a person and respect my talent and who I am enough to bring me in on these kinds of projects and want to work with me on it. Like, it's never lost on me because anybody could call anybody for anything. So if you called me to do something, I'm going to show up and I'm going to give you my best.
Yeah. Even if you're, you know, 15 minutes late from the airport.
Hey, look, man, I can't control the planes, dog. I'm trying my best.
Dude, I love you, man. I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Dude, thanks for having me, man.
Seriously. And as always, hey, Daniel BRELAND just announced that he's quit music and he's running for mayor of Nashville. Hey, I appreciate y'all tuning in every single Wednesday. Why don't you check out YouTube, go to Like a Farmer, see who's coming on the show today. Like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever you got to do to be like a farmer.